What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's non-spoiler review of the Disney Plus original series, Moon Knight. This review will cover the first 4 episodes in a non-spoiler form. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome! Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome! Hit that like button, as well as commenting below any video that you watch, including this one. So just to let you know, this will be, like I said, a non-spoiler review. I will give away a little bit of the story, but that's based off what you see in the trailers. So Moon Knight is, of course, the newest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think the 27th or 28th. It's about an individual named Stephen Grant, who, of course, is played by Oscar Isaac. He's an individual that at first is a very mild-mannered, works at a museum and a gift shop, can't go on dates because he's very bad at it. But he has an alter ego named Mark Spector, who he can see in a reflection, that actually, when he switches over, so dual personalities, and can turn into this character called Moon Knight. Well, this character called Moon Knight is under the control of this kind of pharaoh or god named Khonshu, who of course is played by or voiced by F. Murray Abraham. And as we've seen from the photos and the trailers and stuff like that, Moon Knight has the ability to be a superhero and stuff like that. He can fling things out of his chest with the swords and scythes and stuff like that. He has superhuman strength. He has superhuman speed and stuff like that. He's very much a superhero. And then we have Ethan Hawke, who plays Arthur Harrow, who is the bad guy of the series. He's an individual that wants to possibly release another god, and then doing that will cause chaos among the world. He's a very much a Marvel's or superhero villain, and of course Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Moon Knight have to stop him. And on top of that, Mark finds himself in the presence of his wife, who of course is played by Calamawy, and she's an individual that they were kind of like a mummy type duo where they went on adventures and raided tombs and stuff like that. And this basically becomes we have to stop Arthur Harrow, we have to stop the apocalypse, and it's a Marvel show. That's how it basically breaks down. So that was the easiest way possible to talk about the series without truly not spoiling it, because there is a lot of stuff in this series that I didn't talk about, but that's kind of like the basic synopsis. But as we know at this point, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, is a well-oiled machine. There's 3 or 4 movies or TV shows that come out each year, and they're now at this point in Phase 4 introducing characters that, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, most people have never heard of before. They're very obscure characters. They're not obscure to a lot of comic book fans, but for the most part, the movie-going or TV-going audience like myself, I didn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy was. I didn't know. I knew Shang-Chi to an extent, but I didn't know his character that well. I definitely didn't know much about Moon Knight, even though I've heard of Moon Knight before. But it's just it's a very obscure kind of select of characters that will be brought into the open and kind of become popular because of what Kevin Feige has done with this whole cinematic universe. And so, to be fairly honest, the TV landscape for the MCU has been very hit or miss with me. I know a lot of people love every single series that have come out. When WandaVision came out, I was actually really enjoying that series. It had some problems with a couple episodes. Then came along Loki and Hawkeye, and I really did not like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I was really optimistic by this series. I felt this series could be something special just because not only because they hire Oscar Isaac, because of the whole Egyptian theme that was going on, which I really enjoyed. The series definitely from the trailer felt a little like The Mummy, which I was, I'm kind of on board with that. This character Moon Knight feels like it could be like a good horror character, a good character that really delves into the weird darkness of what the MCU can be. We're bringing back Blade. We're of course doing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'm like, you know what, this could be a really cool series. And then they're bringing in, some of the people that have never worked in the MCU before, which is a new, a really common thing at this point. But you have Mohamed Diab, directing some episodes, and he's a director that really hasn't done much in the American landscape, I guess you could say, but he's a really popular director in his own country. So doing that, bringing in a composer that you've never heard of, it's a recipe for success, I guess you could say, because of how the MCU and Kevin Feige have really molded and conditioned a lot of directors. With that said, I was really optimistic that the series was going to be pretty special, I guess you could say, especially for an MCU series. And so with this whole encompassing MCU kind of thing, and now that we have Moon Knight attached to it, the question remains that you guys are probably wondering, is this show even worth watching? Is it successful? I mean, you're going to watch it anyways, but is it really worth watching? Does it do anything truly unique? I'm here to say not really. It doesn't really do a lot of things unique. It's very much a traditional Marvel Cinematic Universe property. Like the villain, the Arthur Harrow, the Ethan Hawke character is pretty standard stuff. He does pretty standard stuff for a Marvel show, a Marvel supervillain. The story is very. I'm getting the bad stuff out of the way, by the way. The story itself is pretty standard and really goes to places that I really didn't like. Like I said, I'll talk about that more in my spoiler stuff. There's some really stupid decisions that are made that are just very standard for Marvel. It feels very much like a standard Marvel show, and I know a lot of people love this show. From if you're on Twitter, you've seen people talk about the show and they really love it. But just for the most part, through most of the series, I think the first episode's great, but then it really fits into those tropes that I just don't like about Marvel. And I just don't really think it ascends to kind of the doldrums that Marvel has become, where it's just kind of, we have this wheel, it's cogged this way, you follow this pattern, and you just kind of get to your eventual end conclusion point. So it really was a little deflating in that situation where I just felt like there could have been a lot more oomph to the series, and it just feels like it falls under the weight of just being another MCU property. So I was kind of really a little down on the series, to be fairly honest. It wasn't what I was hoping for. Like I said, just wasn't as great as I was expecting. But it's still a Marvel Cinematic Universe show. It's still fun. It's still entertaining. It has great moments. I think Oscar Isaac as Mark Spector / Stephen Grant is absolutely fantastic in this show. I think he does wonders for the world that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, Oscar Isaac's British accent, I was worried that it was going to be really terrible, and it actually is pretty well done, to be fairly honest. He does a nice job of conveying two different forms of individuals, one from America and one from England, and the way he transitions back and forth is a really well done, character. It really works. It really feels like very fleshed out and very kind of well written. And then on top of that, Oscar Isaac is a fantastic actor to begin with, so he really does portray the character in a great light and allows this character to really have some fun. And then on top of everything, you have Khonshu, who of course is played by F. Murray Abraham, who is just having the time of his life in this series. He is fun, he is boisterous, he's commanding, and he is F. Murray Abraham is just a fantastically fun and energetic actor, even at his age. And he just really does a nice job playing off, he's a CGI character and he's playing off, Mark Spector really well. And I just love that about it. I just felt that was really a fun character. And I do think this world is really interesting. I think the idea of the whole Egyptian stuff is really interesting, even though it is very typical and very by the books and stuff like that when it comes to an action adventure mummy style movie, because there's tomb raiding and all that stuff. But I think the world is actually quite different than anything Marvel's ever done because of just how it's presented, who they have as the head show writers and the directors and stuff like that. And it really feels authentic and real and personal, and really feels like it calls back to some of the great properties that dealt in this type of landscape, I guess you could say. So I really do give it a lot of credit for that. I also think May Calamawy is also fantastic in the show. She's absolutely just fun to watch. She plays off Oscar Isaac really, really well. She does have a very tropey story, a very story you see in a lot of these types of shows or movies. But the fact that, this is like one of her first like major roles, and the fact that she just kind of knocks it out of the park, I actually kind of forgive that a little bit. I think it's just something that they had to do. But I like also the fact that, she's playing an individual and she's actually born in that country, which of course is Egypt. And it really is a character that really, I feel like an individual as an actress that could really grow in this universe, as well as grow as an actress as well. Because if this is like one of her first roles, they really found a perfect actress to not only portray against Oscar Isaac, and she does it, like holds her own, but she just has a very good career for her future and stuff like that. So she does a really nice job. She plays off the story really well. And even Ethan Hawke, who's playing two villains this year, believe it or not, does a pretty decent job as Arthur Harrow. He's an individual that is just, the problem is just he's written very stereotypically for a Marvel supervillain. But there is some fun there. There is some menace there. There is some darkness there. You know, he has some really cool abilities that, you know, they're simple abilities, but the use of his cane and some other things are really cool and how they are played out. And then, of course, the special effects and the music are absolutely amazing. They're top notch. It's, you know, what you expect out of Marvel and the companies they use to do their visual effects. And it feels like, you know, I'm kind of split down the middle. It's just, my biggest problem is, of course, the story. Like I said it earlier as well, because it just does some things that are very infuriating, that are very stupid for, you know, the logic and reasoning for this show. You know, the show has a particular thing that it needs to do. It only has 6 episodes to do it, and it falls in that 6-episode trap where it has some really interesting setup, but then it either goes too quickly or it introduces people that do things that really are infuriating and kind of stupid. But I don't. It's just the unfortunate nature of being a Marvel show or a Marvel property is they've gotten in this rut and they've just kind of continued this rut and they never feel that they pull out of this rut. It's just the unfortunate nature of what it is and being a franchise and huge and, you know, influential and stuff like that. But to say something positive about the plot, in this series, something happens and you'll know it when you see it, that completely upends what the story does and what the story is portraying and does it so uniquely in something I haven't seen the MCU do ever. I kind of give it props for what it's doing because it's very bold, it's very audacious for what it's trying to do. It just feels something unique. It feels like Marvel just it went like, we want something here, do it here, and just make it bombastic and cool and just crazy. And I do talk about it in one of my episode reviews, so just look out for that. But yeah, I was completely taken aback when it gets to that point. I'm like, oh, okay, that's some good stuff right there. I like what they're doing, but it's definitely something that is a positive about them at least trying something. Whether it works or not for people, we'll see when that, you know, the episode appears. But to kind of close out this review, Moon Knight is definitely a worthy addition to the MCU. It's fun, it's entertaining, it has story problems, which a lot of Marvel movies do. Because of the leads, because of the action and the CGI, this is a series that is definitely, if it weren't for WandaVision or Loki, would definitely be number 1 in the TV landscape of the MCU. It's definitely something that if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're already going to watch anyways, but I think you will really, really enjoy it. I just wonder if people are going to get tired of the story issues that this series presents that a lot of other series present. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, being able to see it 4 episodes in makes it for a little different experience than the people who are just going to watch the first episode this coming week. But overall, I think it's still a successful entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I cannot wait to see more and more adventures. At this point, I can't wait to see the next 2 episodes, but I can't wait to see the adventures of Moon Knight and Mark Spector and, of course, Stephen Grant. So that'll do it. That'll be my take on the non-spoiler version of the first 4 episodes of Moon Knight. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below, since this is a non-spoiler early take of course, Moon Knight. Let me know what you feel about the series. Are you excited for it? Do you know anything about the Moon Knight character? Let me know all that good stuff. But anyways, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.